Going to be streaming this tournament of position match between JD and Iggythegrifter. Unfortunately, my font does not seem to allow numbers, and so we're just going to shorten JD, just like that, just just JD. Anyway, yeah, that's gonna look a little weird. Really short name. But anyway, we're gonna be getting the picks and bans from the two of them. So the situation for these two is that this is the 0-3 match in the tournament of position. In other words, both of these players have lost their first 3 matches. Which means in the tournament of 16, the top 8 spots are going to receive promotions. And these two have absolutely no chance at being in that top 8. But there are still a few stakes here, because if JD wins a match against a player from a higher division, then he is still able to go up by 1. So JD is from Obsidian, and Iggy is from Copper. And that means that if JD wins here, he will go up from Obsidian to Iron and will in fact get something out of this tournament. Iggy has nothing to gain and is just playing for pride. I mean, you don't want to be the person who goes 0-4 in the tournament. Not to be too negative, but you know, it is our job to understand the stakes here. And so the players are going to be getting ready for their draft. While we're doing that, we can take a look at some of their stats from throughout the season. But Iggy placed, I believe, 3rd in Copper, only really makes the TOP because Max chose to auto-promote. And Iggy's stats have been, as you can see here, basically fairly average, near 50% on both Spy and Sniper. But if you look at just Season 5, Iggy's Sniper definitely went up from Season 4. Nice 61% win rate there, and still, you know, above average as Spy. Whereas JD... Oh, Iggy is in my chat talking to me. Yeah, it looks like JD hasn't joined the draft room yet, so I guess you don't have anything else to be doing at the moment. And then looking at JD's stats, I mean, the numbers are higher. You can see that at a glance, 71% Spy win rate, but you also have to remember what competition JD was facing. JD was in Iron. Iggy, I can't tell you much about your opponent. I'm just opening up pages and trying to say what's in front of me, which is something you could have already done, I'm sure. So I don't have anything new for you, but 71% Spy win rate is still pretty good, even if it is a lower division in Obsidian where there may have been more inexperienced players, so it's easier to get wins. But if you're basing it on that, then the fact that the Sniper win rate is lower than Iggy's by 5% could definitely indicate something here. JD could be a stronger Spy from these stats, but Iggy should definitely be the stronger Sniper. So Iggy probably has the advantage, definitely the overcat going into this, JD the underdog. And that's not necessarily the case for everyone from a lower division. There were some really strong players, but unfortunately these two have gone 0-3. So JD is going to be really hoping for a win here to prove that that he can count himself amongst one of those lower division players who's actually a lot stronger than they seem. And the draft is off to an amazing start as the text reads, JD has joined the room, JD has won the coin flip, undefined. They might be having some sort of glitch, so we'll have to wait a moment for these picks and bans. But T-Flame, do you want to join me? I'm just going to join headquarters, actually. Anyone can join headquarters if they want to chat. Is what I'm typing in the Discord. And so let's go back and take another look at these. Iggy, I mean, we know Iggy is known for pub, and of course it's Iggy's most common pick. But Iggy hasn't actually been choosing it recently, so I don't know if we're going to see it here. But other than that, it's really just a lot of smaller venues from Iggy, and I won't be surprised to see a lot of 3-5s here. And meanwhile, from JD, hello, who's joining me? Oh, Legorv is joining me. Cool. Hey, Legorv.
Hello.
And so I was just looking at common picks from JD, Gallery, High Rise, Veranda. They both share a like for Terrace, apparently. So, seeing as this is the tournament of position, I will not be surprised to see Terrace get chosen by one of these players. And so, first pick coming in from Iggy, first ban rather, is Nothing. That makes sense. There's really nothing at stake here for Iggy, so he doesn't necessarily need to make a super crucial choice here. But JD is the one who has something at stake. So for those of you just joining us, my font cannot display numbers, and so instead of jd105l, I've just shortened it to JD, and that's what we're going to have to put up with here. And JD...
What's at stake for JD?
JD can get a promotion up to Iron if he wins this, and for Iggy there is nothing at stake other than pride and, as Iggy says, fun. So JD is choosing to ban Library. I think that's just banning a map that you're not comfortable with. I mean, Iggy picks Library sometimes, but it's not a thing that Iggy is particularly known for, but it is something that JD bans a lot, so it seems like that's the map that JD is not really comfortable with. Iggy is going with Balcony for the double pick here. Clearly, Iggy was telling us the truth when he said he was playing for fun. And JD is picking Gallery. It is JD's most common pick, or at least tied for it, so no big surprise there. And so for the TOP, you get a double pick from each player, followed by 2 single picks. And because I was mostly casting during the season with these assets, I don't have the proper format for it, so please forgive me. But anyway, I wouldn't be surprised if Iggy is playing for fun to just see a pub pick come up, and probably Terrace from Iggy if JD doesn't pick it. Otherwise, we might see JD pick it. And Legorv, if you're still there, I can't hear you.
I am.
Oh, okay.
I'm just like not real. I don't have any stats to look at.
Yeah, there's nothing much to say here. It's an impromptu cast. I actually don't think I wrote impromptu in the stream title, but for all those who don't know, this is very impromptu, so you can't expect too much from us. But either way, Iggy is now picking Courtyard. That's not something Iggy is known for picking a lot, but Iggy does have 100% Courtyard win rate throughout the season. Small sample size, though, of course. And then we're just waiting for JD's next pick. I wish I had more to say, but I don't know too much. What do we know about these players?
Nothing.
Well,
They're
it's an
mysterious.
impromptu cast, so it's okay.
Yeah, I wasn't even planning on hopping in here, but here we are.
Yeah, Iggy's a newer player still, and in his own words, is still sort of figuring out what his strategy is. JD, unfortunately, just got totally... Wait, was it JD who got swept by Pox just the other day? No, that was Duckett. Anyway, JD has chosen Veranda. It's a map that JD has had pretty good success on, above average stats as both roles, and has chosen it a couple of times during the season. And now we're going to have the final picks coming in from both players. And so I'll move Veranda over to make room for whatever comes next. But yeah, Iggy, definitely someone who prefers 3 of 5s. They're definitely not a super hard camper, definitely into behavioral and flirt pairing stuff, I think is something we can assume from those from those map picks. And so, yeah, Iggy finally, for I think maybe the first time in the TOP, is actually choosing pub. And so, whoop, we'll get that up there. And then we're just waiting for the final pick from JD. Well, we needed to get Veranda out of the way your end so that we could have room, because I do not have room for extra picks. And so final pick coming in from JD is Aquarium. So if Iggy wanted fun, that seems like a fun way to end out your final match of the season.
Yeah, we'll see if the match goes that far.
Yeah, I'm surprised we didn't see Terrace, considering both of them pick it a lot, and we've been seeing it in almost every single match in the TOP. And the players are now in game.
Could have been a bit of terrace chicken, and they both lost.
Yeah, it could have been. I mean, Iggy was probably going to choose pub over Terrace for the last one, that's for sure. But just looking at the the format of this match, we're basically immediately going to be starting off with balcony. Who knows which player is going to get to a lead there? JD is really hoping it's him, because gallery, courtyard, those are maps where he's going to hope to hold on to a lead if he has it by then. And then,
It'll
of
also
course,
be interesting to see if Iggy pulls out any sort of cheese strats, since there's very little stakes for this match.
That's true. With no stakes, you can take riskier plays. And so then the middle of the match, you know, gallery, courtyard, veranda, whoever has a lead there is going to be able to hope to hold on to it by just winning sniper games and keeping it tied up in each of those venues. And then go back to Swingy at the end. Pub, anything could happen, and Aquarium is definitely somewhere where if JD is behind, he could get a final spy win needed. JD does need to get to 9 points. Iggy only needs 8. I like the animated venue thumbnails too, Banana. I only wish that I had made a proper format for the TOP. Anyway, players are seemingly loading up the first game now. And so going into balcony here, it's not a map that JD has played competitively throughout the season at all. Iggy has chosen it a few times, but Iggy's stats are just 29% as both roles. So seems like more of a fun pick for Iggy than necessarily something he's super confident he can do well on. Ignore the scoreboard. That is a lie. It is not a spoiler. This is a live match. I did not accidentally put in a final score there. All right, and so we have JD starting off as the spy,
Blinged.
as Bling Twin. That is correct. My God, I accidentally put the scores into the negative.
Banana bread.
And we're getting an immediate banana bread. I don't know why you needed to do it this early. You are letting off one low light. You could have waited a little bit longer for pearls to come in. But luckily, I think that was a green banana bread. So
I think the idea behind that is the ambassador's standing in the center of the circle, so you're framing everybody for that potential early bug.
Right, but this is balcony, right? So it's not like the sniper's going to have a hard time watching to see if anyone bugs the ambassador after a banana bread. It only takes a split second to go get that low light on pearls. But it's really not that bad, you know, I can't complain about it too much. We let off one low light, which isn't the ideal here, but we're still in a pretty good position because we've got our first flirt off now, 33%. Pearls entered close enough to us that we are in range to 3 flirt, and we're not a major suspect. But General was a highlight and gets brought back down to neutral, with Iggy debating maybe bringing him to a low light. JD actually picks up a highlight for some reason, just for walking over there to the window. Ligorov, do you know what that might be for?
Not really. Like, that could potentially be for trying to lower the cooldown, or maybe some behavioralism.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And now we enter next to pearls, but we're going to wait a while before talking. The problem with that is, even with this green flirt up to 84%, we're going to need one more flirt, which means we're going to have to leave the conversation and come back at some point. And if we're already a suspect for leaving the first time and coming back, it's going to be very hard to get away with doing it a second time. And
A gulp.
yeah, gulp. Well, there's no reason to take a drink. There's no reason to hold on to it either. But JD, I don't think there's going to be enough time to flirt before it goes down to 0. We got that flirt at, what, around 45 seconds? Waiter gave up on us, and we're just planting a bug as the ambassador enters next to us instead. We were so lucky that he came next to us, and now who do you shoot? The twin is not talking, but Iggy correctly deduces that the only reason overtime could have happened is if the twin did a bug. That is fantastic from Iggy, and that must have been an incredibly nerve-wracking mission win countdown. Oh wait, we don't have time to go for replays. I forgot.
Right.
It's a live match. And so with that, Iggy takes a very well-earned first point.
Yeah, that was completely concealed within Taft. The only thing that was visible was the head motion.
Yeah, that was an amazing bug from JD. If it wasn't done in the last 10 seconds, that bug would have absolutely won any spy the game. Unfortunately, the timing of it meant that Iggy had to take an overtime shot. And even if Iggy didn't see the bug or suspect it, when the overtime happens and the only person, talking is not a potential spy for you, then maybe you just take a shot on your highlight, assuming that maybe you missed a talk or something, but Iggy could have also then just noticed, oh, that spy, or the twin is next to the ambassador, maybe could have bugged. And so we get a nice contact off here. It does mean that we're talking during it, and we're one of the first people to talk, but we get low-lit instead of high-lit.
That's an interesting choice. I'm not sure if we were the last one to start talking. I know Smallman and Kane were both talking as well, and Kane followed it up with a stop talk, so he might be top suspect at this point.
That's still really surprising to me, though, to see a spy get low-lit for talking during a banana bread. But with that, Iggy is in a really great position here. The only problem is that Iggy hasn't been flirting. Iggy is talking now without flirting. I'm really not sure what the plan was there. I mean, if the yellow arrow comes to you, then the yellow arrow comes to you and you have to talk, but unfortunately, Iggy doesn't realize how good of a position he's in. He's low-lit. He could win this game pretty darn easily if he tried, but instead, he's going to be hoping for a civ shot here. The good news, though, is basically JD could shoot a civilian, but if JD seems to be holding the shot, Iggy could go for a desperation bug, and as a low light, it will work. So even though Iggy doesn't know he's low lit, things are still in his favor at the moment.
It's looking like Kane's going to get shot here. He's been talking most of this game.
Yeah, Kane's the only highlight left. If he talks again, he might get shot, but there's been no shot coming off just yet. And luckily, the ambassador is in a buggable position. Not anymore, though, if Iggy goes for the desperation bug. Why is Iggy flirting right now? Iggy needs to be getting ready to go for a bug if no shot comes off. And Iggy, despite being a low light, doesn't even try to finish the flirt and doesn't win that game, which should have basically been gifted to him by that low light.
That one's not going to feel great, but not a lot of pressure.
I don't know. I mean, I think you still feel bad about that, even if you have no stakes in the match. I mean, it only depends on if Iggy watches the replay, which it looks like he wasn't necessarily doing, but he would have had at least a moment to see that he was low-lit, so that definitely feels bad. But it can also sort of give you a positive thinking, because you're like, they low-lit me for a banana bread. If the sniper is doing that, then I can probably get away with some things. So it might make Iggy feel a little bit more, emboldened for future games.
It is balcony, though, so it is completely black magic.
And so now we have JD as queen entering right next to the seduction target, but waiting a nice 10 seconds before talking. It's a nice early green flirt, so we're in a pretty good position here, especially if we don't pick up a highlight for being one of the first people to talk, which it looks like Iggy is not doing. And now, basically, the plan should be to just stay here. There's no reason to get out of this conversation. The seduction target is next to us. If we get another green flirt, it would be impossible to lose, practically. Also, we have the double agent in here. We're just really waiting for Sari to come in and take the contact. And I think, based on the fact that Sari is, like, just not entering, she's doing everything she can other than enter and take the banana bread, should sort of already indicate to Iggy that Sari is a lowlight, because there's no reason why the spy would just wait out of conversation for that long.
Oh, we have the 2 flirt.
Yes, we do. Now we just need the contact, but unfortunately, waiting for Sari could have made it difficult for us. Now Sari is in, but Kane and Smallman are not. If they both enter, now is the perfect time for it, but even if Kane doesn't enter, you might just want to go for the contact right now. If that double agent leaves and doesn't come back until later, you could be in a lot of trouble. But JD is playing it calm, playing it slow, waiting for Kane to return. Meanwhile, Alice is leaving, and now we decide to go for it. Smallman leaves as well. Now there's only 3 people who could be doing it, and we're the one talking. JD could get shot immediately, but the 2 green flirts are the only thing saving him, but it's not enough! But the shot doesn't come off. JD just barely survives as the cogs were turning in Iggy's head, realizing that he needed to take a shot on Queen right now instead of waiting for another flirt. Just by statistically, there were only 3 people who it could have been, and she was talking. It made a lot of sense for a shot, and yet Iggy still just was not able to think it through and take it.
Yeah. Even possibly a low light onto Sari, who was just finishing up taking a drink there. So it was potentially down to 2, the spy and the double agent. It only gets worse if you're the spy and the ambassador together.
Yeah, and I think that Iggy absolutely knows that and was probably thinking that, but was probably also thinking, well, if Queen was just talking for the banana bread, then that means that talk wasn't a flirt. She probably still needs one more. I mean, that's the power of the 2 green flirts. And so I think Iggy probably just wasn't sure if he even needed to take a shot at that time because he didn't know the 2 green flirts had happened.
Have I lost track? Are we on our 5th balcony game?
We're on our 4th balcony game. JD is now up 2-1. So we have Iggy as general this time. We're not able to get an early flirt. The only way we could have is if we took a bug path by the ambassador and joined that group at Windows. But now Tex has a highlight. Looks like Tex was flirting with Kane over at the Windows. And Kane enters next to Tex, but the problem is Tex started talking immediately after entering the conversation before Kane joined him, and therefore Tex got brought back down to a neutral light, because if Tex was flirting with Kane over at the Windows, why would he have talked instantly? That's a really, really great neutral light from JD. Contact coming off now. Sari is the only low light here. And Iggy, unfortunately, doesn't want to just wait around far away from Kane like that. Goes for a time ad instead. Sari's the only one at the Windows besides us, but she's a low light. But the thing is, do you even look for time ads on balcony, especially green ones? And I don't think JD is going to see that. I think Iggy's gotten away with it. The only problem, of course, is that this conversation position is sort of weird. We're right on top of Tex. It's not because we wanted to flirt with Tex. It's because we wanted to flirt with Kane. But it can look suspicious either way. But Iggy is not a highlight right now. And if JD hasn't noticed the time ad, it's just going to be giving all of the guests more time to flirt, including Pearls and Kane. There's a nice redirect from Tex. Wouldn't be surprised to see him get low-lit right now. It doesn't happen, but I'm pretty sure that JD knows that Tex isn't a suspect. JD really wants to shoot Kane for this talk, just deciding if he wants to do it, and he...
Oh, safety's coming off.
The safety comes off, but it's been 10 seconds since the talk now, and so JD knows that he made the right choice in not shooting. Or maybe not the right choice, but at least if it is Kane, he's not done. If Kane talks one more time, though, that could be trouble. Our flirt is up to 96%, and that's just because we were too far away from Kane the first time we entered.
Kane, he got low-lit because he's not finishing his missions.
Kane is talking again now, right after being low-lit. I wouldn't be surprised to see if JD brought him back up, but no, JD trusts the low-light. This is really amazing sniping from JD. JD is having great confidence in himself, but unfortunately takes the wrong shot despite having the party almost correctly narrowed down.
That looked like a shot for a quick talk into a very quick drink take. And I don't know if I agree with that, because if that's the spy flirting in that case, it takes more than that amount of time to complete the action test and then trigger the take drink option.
That's true. Spies really do like to they really do like to talk and then immediately take their drink, though. So I definitely understand thinking that that was suspicious. And that's another point for Iggy, correct?
Yes, as spy.
All right, so 2-2 coming out of balcony. I think that JD showed some really impressive sniping there. He made some really good decisions about why the AI were AI. But unfortunately, he couldn't follow through to actually go and take the correct shot. Dowsey bringing up that Iggy's balcony win rate, yeah, 29% like we mentioned earlier, but Iggy doesn't have anything major to play for here other than fun, so that seems to be the reason behind it, and it is a pick that Iggy commonly makes despite having low stats on it, which indicates that it is a map that Iggy likes and feels comfortable with it. I mean, sometimes there's a map that you feel comfortable on and you feel pretty good on it, but you just lose at it anyway, but it doesn't deter you. You just think, that's fine, I made some mistakes, but I still like this map, so this time I'll play better. No, so to remind people who are just coming in, JD, if he wins this by getting to a score of 9, will earn a promotion from Obsidian up to Iron, whereas Iggy is just playing for the pride of not going 0-4 in the tournament. And JD stumbling a little bit, just stopping over there in the middle of the painting pads as Bling Twin this time. We are near the Ambassador, so it is possible to go for a bug here, but JD doesn't want to wait around for it and just leaves going in for the early first flirt. A good idea on Gallery, because if you don't get it early, you can definitely run into problems later.
Yeah, being a bit respectful, waiting a short while, but we got their first 34%.
And so now the question is JD just going to wait in this conversation for the timer flirt? Instead, we're going to go in to the bookshelf where the Ambassador was. It looked like we almost wanted to bug the Ambassador on our way in, which I don't think would have been great. I think we might have been hoping that the Ambassador would put the book away so that we could be in line for a fingerprint. Unfortunately, the Ambassador took the book out. We go for a microfilm instead because we don't want to waste the time we spent going to the shelf. But there doesn't seem to have been great cover for it, and so unfortunately, Iggy sees it and takes the shot.
There really wasn't, and the laser was kind of just resting directly on Twin there. Maybe thinking that the laser wasn't indicating exactly where Iggy's eyes were looking.
Yeah, and I think, look, when you see a game end so quickly because the spy just does a hard tell and gets shot, it looks really uneven. It kind of looks like, what were they thinking? But that's sort of how hard tells work in general. I mean, if you don't want to play the slow soft tell game, you have to do a hard tell at some point, and when it works, you look brilliant, and when it doesn't work, you know, it looks like that. And so we have Iggy spying now as Queen immediately going in for a first flirt with Smallman, but that is a wee-woo situation. There are 3 people at this bookshelf.
If you can even see Smallman back there.
You can see Smallman. This is not one of the times that Smallman is totally invisible. And so Iggy has the same question of whether or not he wants to do the microfilm. He's been waiting at the shelf a really long time. In fact, he was reading way longer than I think you're allowed to read before taking a book out. And since there were 3 at the shelf there, that is something that JD could notice. Iggy goes for the briefcase, gets canceled out of it, and is now going to walk outside with this book. So Iggy was definitely trying to lower his suspicion level there. I don't think there was any reason to believe that he would be able to pick up that briefcase. Iggy just sort of hoping that he's not standing out right now. despite being one of the 3 at the shelf. He probably wants to go for a contact here, and luckily Hare and Taft entering makes this conversation quite a bit more full, turning this into a pretty decent time to take the banana bread. There are quite a few lowlights available, but that's Gallery. It doesn't look like there was an SDA in the back conversation, which means only the front one has real, but Iggy is booking it out of there as soon as possible so that JD doesn't have an opportunity to realize that he's one of the only people with a real BB. And now, Iggy is going to wait in this back conversation. He really wanted to put the book back, but there wasn't any cover. There's nothing else really distracting the sniper at the moment. And so Iggy's just waiting for a good time to put that book back, I would imagine. If he puts it back in green, he's really going to be struggling with the clock. Now Iggy goes in. While the ambassador is at statues now, it's a pretty safe time. The guest list is really easily visible, so Iggy's just having to hope that JD is looking elsewhere and not noticing this book return. But it doesn't look like JD is noticing it. If he had noticed it, he would have shot by now. And so now Iggy's gotten away with the microfilm, gotten away with the contact, which didn't let off an extraordinary number of lowlights. And should be in a good position to finish the flirt. The question is, what is the 4th mission going to be? Here we're setting ourselves up for both inspect finish or fingerprint finish. And I really like this as a move once you've gotten away with microfilm because it gives you options. If the ambassador leaves another print that you can wait a while before getting, you can go get it and hopefully finish without any major suspicion. But if it doesn't work out, the always reliable statues are right there. But what are we doing? Just circling around the back of that conversation.
We couldn't resist the call of Smallman at the blue bookshelf when we decided to return that.
And it looks like JD was way more onto Iggy than we thought. What do you think was the main thing that tipped JD onto Iggy there? Because Iggy only picks up the highlight for statues here. Was it just super suspicious to go in for another visit?
It could have been that path around the conversation at the end as well. Yeah, it doesn't look super pretty from the sniper view.
No, it didn't look great, but I mean, that's the sort of thing that if you see it, sometimes you just think that was really weird, but maybe it's AI-like, especially when it's at the back of the conversation. You can't tell exactly what was causing Queen to redirect or not, but it looks like JD just had a really good hunch about it and was able to take a correct shot even though he missed the microfilm, and that's really crucial for JD. He really could not afford to fall behind there. And so we have JD playing as Teal now. The score is 3-3. If JD gets a spy win here, he'll be in a really great position. But if he just keeps trading sniper wins back and forth, that's not really going to be what he needs because he needs to reach 9 points, and Iggy wins with just 8. We're going in for an early fingerprint here off the briefcase. We just have to make sure to stop as soon as the ambassador starts moving. It looked a little bit slow, but I don't think Iggy was watching for it. There will be another print available on the statue now, but JD should probably start making some progress on the flirt. Gallery is really not a map where you can afford to leave that for later. Smallman is heading all the way outside, which means we're going to have to waste a bunch of time going out there to join him. Unfortunately, he doesn't go to the conversation. He goes to the window pad. Can we make it there before he leaves? Teal's not incredibly fast, and it looks like Smallman is going to leave before we get the flirt off, and he does. And this is exactly why it's important to start getting the flirt as early as possible on this map, because things like that can just happen. But Smallman turns back around. He's going to come right back to us, or is he going to try to squeeze himself into this conversation? I mean, Smallman should be a suspect here. That looks like a spy squeezing themselves into a conversation which is too full. So that's the only good news that JD has. And because JD was falling behind on mission progress there, he's just going to go in for statues. Like we were saying last game, statues are a nice, easy option. They're always available. They don't move. They never walk away from you. But unfortunately, it's not really a great game plan, but it does mean that JD is still in an okay position to go for a Softel game here, but we cannot enter next to Smallman. There's no room. We're waiting over here at the window, just hoping that someone leaves the conversation so that we can enter next to Smallman, and Salmon does, and gives us a spot, but JD decides not to take it. I think JD has decided that the flirt just wasn't going to work. We pass the ambassador here and try a bug. It doesn't even take, and it just gets JD shot. That's really not one of the best positions to try to bug the ambassador in on this venue, but JD was behind because he wasn't able to get that flirt, and he felt he needed to go for a risky play there. And so that's another point for Iggy. JD really just needs to get the sniper win here to at least hold on, and then hope that some of the swingier maps at the end can give him the lead that he needs. But it's definitely not the situation that JD would have wanted to be in after these first two double picks. Well, I say after. We're still waiting on the last one. If JD doesn't get this sniper win, he'll be officially behind and in a really bad position. But so far, his sniper has managed to pull it out when needed, so we'll see if he's able to do that another time.
In the meantime, we've gotten a white time ad and a white flirt out front. There's a fingerprint and briefcase over at the blue bookshelf if Iggy wants to head over to that. Briefcase is a bit far. It's all the way across the venue.
Yeah, I don't think that we would have been called over to that briefcase. We'll see if JD has any feelings about that. The thing is, Iggy didn't really get any cred based on the briefcase cancel last time, so Iggy might think, you know what, JD isn't really someone who looks at the briefcase that closely. So it's a first print for Iggy.
JD might notice this, though. We're doubling up on the fingerprints. We're already done.
Yeah, that's really, really bold from Iggy, but JD's laser movement is sort of going all over the place, getting lowlights elsewhere. I don't think JD is really noticing Iggy very much right now. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean anything. JD could be noticing the twin and mentally noting the prints, but Iggy also went and got a bug entering next to the ambassador. It's so crowded back there that it was almost impossible, or if not completely impossible, to see Iggy's arm. The only thing you could suspect was the entrance into conversation next to the Amba, and it doesn't look like JD suspects it, and I think Iggy's been getting away with everything. And Iggy has a lot of time to get the flirt done, and then we should be able to get a good contact. So Iggy is in a great position now.
Iggy just rejected a drink and walked away. It's not a green purloin or anything. We just innocently reject.
No, and then we enter the center of this conversation circle. There's been a lot of debates recently about if it's AI-like or not. I mean, the fact is there was no spot open next to Kane, so yeah, go in the middle of the circle. AIs have been doing it quite a lot recently, and so it's not even very suspicious. We don't know if that's an unintended effect of the recent patch, or maybe just something that we're, noticing. And noticing more often than it actually happens because we're talking about it so much. But Iggy went for it. Iggy not getting any suspicion for it. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like JD is going to be able to get the sniper win that he needs to stay in this set.
Kane's making it difficult, though. But there's still 2 minutes to find this final flirt.
Yeah, I mean, even with a time at the start, we're running into the classic gallery problem. If you want to chase the ST, well, he's going all the way to the front now, and even the contact, you're still not able to get it. There's Kane entering the front conversation. We were hoping the double agent would enter this one. Instead, we do a purloin.
This time we have a green purloin, and we stay for it.
Yeah, Iggy basically felt like he would not be able to finish the flirt and the contact in a minute and a half. Now, Iggy's not a big suspect. The guest list gets purloined by Queen. JD really doesn't seem to know what to do for it. And because of the reject chain, I don't think Iggy's going to be a huge suspect for it either way. Now all Iggy needs is the flirt. We're stepping in for it now. And unless JD is able to take a shot just for entering and talking instantly, which, you could, the twin left that back conversation, but JD is not going to do it. JD is just watching all the people at the back, and Iggy takes the spy win, has officially broken serve. Iggy is now up 5-3. Being behind is usually a problem, but when you're the lower seed and you need one more point to ensure your win, it's huge. And, the map we have coming up is, of course, Courtyard. We're going to be moving on to Courtyard, followed by Veranda, and then Pub and Aquarium. Courtyard, we can definitely expect to see Iggy hold on to the lead. Veranda, again, Iggy's going to be hoping to hold on to the lead there, and I think JD's best chance for bringing this back is to just hold on until the final single picks of Pub and Aquarium, and hope that he can get a string of wins there. And so JD is spying first here on Courtyard, playing as Duke. We're going to need to see some bold plays from JD here if he wants to pick up a win. If all he does is, slowly flirt, which, by the way, he failed at already, red tested the twin away. And that's just going to make it even harder. But as I was saying, if JD just plays a slow game here of getting flirts and then inspects and a contact and then just hopes to find a hard tell in the last minute, I don't think it's going to go very well for him. I mean, Iggy's been doing amazing on Courtyard, 100% win rate. Low sample size, but still 100% win rate. And there's JD going for a bold play.
White
That's a
swap
swap.
and bail.
Yep, while Iggy's camera is not rotated, you can see Duke leaving the statues, but it doesn't look like Iggy was watching it, and that means JD has gotten away with this swap. Iggy just now rotating over, has the statue in sight for a second, but isn't looking at it until someone else goes to that statue. Iggy is not going to be looking for it, and this is exactly what JD needed to pull out a win here. He should be in a really, really great position. The problem is he still doesn't have the flirt. He went into that conversation, which he didn't need to be in. Now he's going in and getting the flirt here. And luckily, it is a 51%. It would have been really, really sad if JD wasn't able to finish the flirt. The statues are both on screen. Look, they're both birds now. They weren't both birds before. Is Iggy noticing? Is Iggy reacting? Yes, the low lighting people,
lights.
and the low light comes off on us as well. But then brought back up to neutral. That's interesting because there's... we definitely were not seen at statues. Iggy had no idea we were there.
Iggy was guarding the ambassador for most of the beginning of the game, so I'm pretty sure that that's why he can be confident that Oprah and Twin were not at statues during that time. So that's a really good
Well, Oprah was a
decision.
highlight. Was she a highlight for statues? Because if she was, it's interesting that she became low-lit. But either way, JD doesn't hold on to the low-light and picks up a highlight for going in for the inspects. Sorry, I red tested. And that's trouble for JD. The question is Iggy going to take a shot on JD without the proper mission count? Yeah, the seduction target leaves again. And now it's going to be really hard. JD is going to need to do this contact as soon as possible. He really cannot risk the double agent leaving, but he's talking in the middle of it.
He left.
The double agent left. Oh my god, JD was in such a great position here thanks to that swap, and I have to admit I'm a little sad to see it not working out for him. JD probably panicking right now, needs to go get both the flirt and the contact. Which one is he going to go for first? Looks like he's going to enter this conversation, get the flirt immediately, then he has to stop talk, then he has to leave and go for the double agent right away. 15 seconds left. Could bug the ambassador instead, but JD is just waiting here, gonna go for a bug instead of a contact, and Iggy was not properly rotated for it, but could just barely see the path, barely see the arm. Is Iggy going to take a shot on JD for this? No, JD, despite not getting the contact, gets away with the win, because Iggy seemed to be just as nervous as JD at the end there, and wasn't guarding the ambassador properly.
You know, people say that every Courtyard game is the same. That one wasn't.
No, it definitely wasn't. That was one of the most exciting Courtyard games that I have cast. I'm thrilled. Let's take a look at that bug. Let me know if we see the red flashing text saying that they've moved on to the next game. It's such an interesting decision from JD as well, deciding not to go for the contact, thinking that a bug would be the better play. It really is on screen. That's the sort of bug that a sniper should be able to see, but it looks like Iggy was confused as well because of not seeing the swap, you know? It's like we were saying that, yes, Iggy seemed to be in an okay position because he didn't low-light Duke and, in fact, was able to highlight Duke. But the fact is, a swap happened. Iggy still had no idea who did it. Iggy had most of the party highlight at that point. So even though Iggy wasn't completely devastated from the swap by low-lighting the spy, Iggy still wasn't in a great position because the confusion was clearly getting to him, and I think that's the reason why he wasn't able to guard everything properly at the end. He had probably been crafting some ideas in his mind of who could have done that swap and it just left him a little bit unfocused at the key moment. But amazing decision making from JD. I mean, in crunch time like that, it must have been an incredibly hard decision for JD to decide first, do I go for the flirt or the contact? He chose the flirt, and then he made the decision to go for the bug instead of the contact as well. And I have to say, I'm really happy that it worked out for him. And if he just gets another sniper win now, he can bring this set back up to a tie, which would be an amazing position considering how Gallery went.
Yeah, JD will need it. He'll need some good party luck again, or I don't know. The double agent kind of played into his favor because it gave up a lot of extra highlights.
Yeah, and wow, Iggy playing really, really bold here, getting a first flirt and immediately leaving. I don't even know if there was a need to do that, but it looks like Iggy just really doesn't want to risk not being able to finish the flirt. I would imagine he's just going to go back and flirt again immediately. Boots leaves, so Iggy goes to a window pad instead. I mean, Iggy has played 3 spy games on Courtyard this season and has won all of them. There's a time ad happening as well, a really good spot to do it, completely off screen from the sniper. The Ambassador and Toby were on the other side. Unfortunately, Iggy has trouble entering this conversation, but the fact that the camera from JD rotates away instead of focusing on Rocker there indicates to me that JD wasn't onto it. So Iggy's gotten away with that, but will be picking up the statue highlight here. I think that's sort of an interesting decision. When you've done the time ad, you're really giving yourself a lot of time to get your hardtail in before you pick up the highlight for statues, and so I don't know if there was a need to go for it this early. It seems to me like Iggy had a nice game plan idea in mind, but wasn't really sure how to follow through by finding a good spot for a hardtail, and so just went for the standard habit of going to the statues.
Yeah, and the insta-talk on the second flirt, I don't think that works as well the second time after you've been highlit.
Yeah, it's really easy to see. Now we're chasing after Boots again. If JD's doing any sort of flirt pairing here, this would be a really obvious one, but I think Iggy's playing based on the assumption that JD isn't flirt pairing, and I can go along with that assumption. I don't think that's what's happening either. Unfortunately, there just aren't a lot of other statue visitors getting highlights, and Iggy's just going for a purloin. Luckily, it's a green. I mean, I think a white would have been death there, but now we're walking away. It looked like a bug path by the Amba. The Amba rejects the drink, so the list is still there. And now, wow, JD's not even watching. Taft takes the list, but the rotations from JD suggest he wasn't really looking for it. Now he sees that the list is gone. He probably knows that Taft did it, but I don't know if JD has the reject chain in mind. Let's see if Rocker gets brought back down to a low light. The answer is no, but luckily she's not being looked at either. Now all Iggy needs to do is contact for the win, but the party is very, very narrowed down. That's the problem with getting away with the purloin. You've still narrowed down the party, and that means your banana bread could narrow out even more suspects and leave you as the only potential spy.
Unfortunately, the SDA has joined our conversation, so in Iggy's mind, if he has it down to 2, he's going to want both in for this real BB.
And here we are entering with the double agent. Taft is the one who took the list. Is he in conversation? Doesn't look like JD's even looking. Yeah, Taft is all the way on the other side with an SDA. JD has to take a shot here. Is he able to take it on Iggy? He seems to know that Iggy was in the reject chain holding the laser over him, but doesn't take the shot. And I think you have to. When a purloin has gone and you have statue visitors who were part of the chain and a contact comes off and both of the people in the chain are with an SDA, I don't think there was any good reason not to take the shot there. And it looks like JD was just stressed out or nervous, couldn't make the choice. And unfortunately, that means that Iggy is now back up to 6-4. JD got the amazing spy win here, but without the sniper win, it doesn't mean anything, and he's still behind and potentially at risk of going 0-4 in the tournament of position unless he majorly salvages this here. Yeah, I mean, shooting Taft would have been totally tastified. Even if you didn't know that Rocker rejected before Taft took the list, Taft was the one who took it. He was in conversation with an SDA, in fact, alone in conversation with an SDA, which is something that can happen to a spy sometimes if they're banana breading in the last minute. They can't wait for their conversation to get really full. And either way, when a purloin has gone off, you have statue visitors, you have a contact, you know that someone has to be done. You just know it. And I think JD really just had no idea who the spy was. When I look at the laser position over Rocker there at the end, it almost makes me think that he had a suspicion of Rocker, but just didn't want to go through with the shot, but wanted the laser there as if to say, hey, if it's you, I was sort of onto it. But either way, JD spying now on Veranda as Hare, and I think it's safe to say that if he loses this, he will have almost no chance of winning the set. If he gets this spy win, he's still in it. And he's already started off with a bug. I was updating the scoreboard. Legorv, did you see that?
No, neither did Iggy, because that was invisible.
Great, clean bug for JD right off the start, and just like on Courtyard, he's already in a really good position. But let's see if this time he can play a little bit more smoothly, not let the double agent or the flirt get away from him. JD clearly already learning the lesson from Courtyard, just homing in on the seduction target, getting that flirt. Nice green one up to 51%. With no suspicion for the bug. JD's in a great position. There's a banana split as well. Is JD... Oops, sorry. God, I am red testing all over the place. Is JD going to get high lit or low lit for this? You know, solo casting is hard. Okay. Looks like no highlight, no neutral light either way. And so JD has gotten 2 great mission progress right now, a great flirt as well, and even if he's not a suspect for the banana split, he is also not a low light. So it's looking pretty good for JD.
Yeah, that was a pretty good BB, because there's only 1 low light off of that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, everything was lining up for JD there. The seduction target and the double agent being in the same conversation. It just all lined up for a nice green flirt into a split. We have the bug. But now what is JD going to do to follow it up? It looks like JD's just going to be going in for the flirt here. And this is sort of what we were seeing from Iggy on the last game after doing the time ad and the aggressive flirting, just sort of going in for the statues. When I see JD just going in for the flirt here, it looks to me like JD is saying, I don't really know how to get away with a hard tell right now, so I'll just stick with the easy mission. And, you know, that's great. You still have 2 minutes left, but if JD's going to win this, he needs to show us that he has a plan to get 1 more hard tell by. He needs to show us that he has the awareness to know when is a good spot for it. Instead, it's just going to be statues. Yeah, picking up the inspects. No reason not to. And this is also a fingerprintable statue, so we are setting ourselves up for the option to just finish with soft tells here. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe we don't need a hard tell after all. It's just going to depend on what the ambassador does, and it looks like he's going to be leaving a print over on the blue shelf as well.
Yeah, when you get that nice early bug, you're throwing off the sniper's mission count. You just want to finish with soft tells.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, and luckily JD had good awareness of where that print was. Now, JD knows that there was a print being left on the blue shelf, but instead JD's just going into the back here. I think while JD is at this statue, he can make the choice if he wants to swap or just get the inspects and leave. The ambassador's on the other side. The camera's not really watching over here, so JD could go for the swap, but JD decides to just put the statue back down. Either way, I'm not sure that JD is a huge blip on Iggy's radar. Now JD's just going to have to hope that that print is still there on blue. JD had no way of knowing if it was, but JD crossing the map, going over to the shelf, hoping that no one else has been there since the ambassador. Is Iggy onto this? Is Iggy able to take a shot for just the soft tells, having no idea about the bug? 25 seconds left. This is when you're watching the ambassador or the statues for a swap, and no shot coming off from Iggy. And so JD gets another spy win, just like we saw on Courtyard. Same exact situation now. If he gets a sniper win, he's back in this. And if not, Iggy will be on match point, and it'll be nearly impossible for JD to come back. And this is JD's pick. theoretically, he feels that he can get a sniper win here, and he's been doing good on Veranda throughout the season, 75% sniper win rate on it. Low sample size, again, of course, have to add that disclaimer every time, but no one would blame you if you bet that JD could get a sniper win here, and if he does, he'll be in an amazing position for someone who was behind early. So we'll see if he's able to pull it off. And yeah, Dowsey is in chat saying JD hasn't shown the agency as sniper JD was Dowsey was talking as if the spies were the other way around. But I think what you're saying is still true. We have seen JD hesitate on sniper shots this set. JD has not shown that he has the type of dominating sniper that we can count on to shoot Iggy this game for sure, especially because Iggy has made the choice to play Smallman. And so I think that this game is just going to be a huge test of whether or not JD deserves to win the shot or not. Yes, he's had great spy play, but there have been weaknesses in his sniper. If he can prove to us here that he is able to play a strong, controlling sniper game and shoot Smallman on Veranda, then I will totally be rooting for JD to get the 9 points and take it back and win the set. But if he's not able to get this, it'll be very hard to say that Iggy doesn't deserve the win. And so Iggy starting off here with a nice 51% flirt, and now there's distance between us and the seduction target. The ambassador is nearby, so depending on how much cover there is, we could go for a bug, but it looks like Iggy just wants to go in and get the flirt. I mean, if we finish this flirt with another green test now, we would be in an amazing position. That's what Iggy is hoping for, and the seduction is done, just like that. Really great to hit those 2 green flirts. Now you have a lot of time to do your other missions. There are fingerprints available. The red shelf has one. The briefcase has one as well. And so Iggy definitely playing sort of aggressively here. It's only soft tells so far, but Iggy's definitely been moving around. But JD doesn't seem to be looking at Smallman too much, probably noting that Smallman has a print. It was pretty easy to see there. And now Iggy walking over as if to go flirt, but the flirt's already done, so Iggy swerves away, goes for the statues instead. And so what we're seeing is, like I was saying, aggressive soft telling. Aggressive flirting, aggressive fingerprint, getting the early inspects. Well, it's not even that early anymore. It's only 2.5 minutes left on the clock. But Iggy finally picks up the highlight for it. The question is, what sort of hard tell does Iggy have planned? As Smallman, I think it would be easier than most to get away with a bug when you're not visible. It's almost starting to be a little late to go for microfilm here, and Smallman's really not the greatest character for a purloin or a swap because of his height. We're getting the second fingerprint off the red shelf. I can't believe that no one has been to that shelf since the ambassador was when he left the briefcase when we got it earlier. So I don't know.
Bit of a zoom in though on Smallman there.
We do? I didn't...
Or it might be on the guest list, actually. Smallman was just in the peripheral.
Well, Iggy's been making great soft-tell progress here. Still needs more inspects. Now we're going for the contact here. The conversations are really full, so I just don't think there's going to be a lot of lowlights available. Yeah, got Duke, you got the twin, and that's it. Really nothing else. The ambassador's going to pass right behind us. We try to take the bug, but unfortunately the timing wasn't great, and so it doesn't take. That's okay, though. There was absolutely no way that JD would have seen that. Now I think Iggy needs to go in for the inspects. You don't really want to wait and do that in the last minute. You want to get them out of the way so that you can set yourselves up for the best bug possible. Will Iggy go for a swap right here? It's possible, and that's exactly what Iggy does because the laser was watching the ambassador on the other side, but JD rotates over and takes the shot. I don't think there was anything wrong with Iggy's choice to go for the swap there. The ambassador was on the other side. The laser had to be watching the ambassador. But unfortunately, Iggy was noticeable enough for all of the soft tells. And so JD had the presence of mind to go over and take the shot. And with that, this set is officially brought back to a tie. It feels monumental to say that, but really all that happened was that Iggy broke serve once on gallery. So all JD needed to do was break serve once to get it back. And he tried really hard on Courtyard, but wasn't able to do it. But this time he got the clutch shot at the end. Iggy making a bold play there. Iggy was basically saying, yeah, I think I can get away with a swap. You're not going to watch it. I don't even want to go look for a bug. And JD proved him wrong and said, look, I know that I sometimes have not been taking shots when I should, but that doesn't mean you can swap in my face and get away with it. And suddenly JD is back in this. We're going to be moving on to Pub. This is somewhere that Iggy is definitely the most comfortable out of any map. Doesn't necessarily translate to stats. Pub is the map that Iggy has the largest sample size on of any venue, and wins 62% of the time as Sniper, 55% of the time as Spy. So Iggy's stats on Pub are definitely a little above average, but it's not insurmountable for JD. Who also has a pretty good Spy win rate here, but a really low sample size. JD opting to turn Fingerprints off and wants the Purloin on, wants the Bug on as well. Bug is often turned off if you think that the Sniper is going to be able to catch it, but it looks like JD's not giving Iggy that highest level of respect. So it's also good to have the Bug on because it gives you an out. If you have Purloin and Fingerprints on, it can be really hard to rush it in the last minute, whereas the Bug is at least always available as sort of a backup plan. But JD, what do you think about this flirt position?
47% flirt.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I mean, the position can look okay, though, right? Because it doesn't look like you're obviously flirting.
Yeah, I mean, that closes off the door for a potential 2 flirt.
But look at this contact. It looks like a really good time for the Spy to contact because most people are in conversation. Only one conversation, the one on the right, has real BB, but Iggy is not taking the highlights for it. Iggy does take the highlights for the real BB. Just waits a little bit to think about it first. I think that could be a really good BB for JD here because it just didn't really look like the timing that a Spy would do a fake. It looked like a Spy was in the big conversation with the double agent and went for it because they saw there weren't many lowlights available. So I think if any of those highlights for real BB goes over to statues, I wouldn't be surprised to see Iggy take a miss shot. I wonder about entering so close to Pearls here, though, just because it could look like we were trying to flirt with her over at the bar. And so now I wonder, is JD planning to delegate a Purloin over to one of the people who had real BB? Because if so, I think that's an amazing strategy. And Dowsey suggests that JD should delegate to Irish. I agree. I think Irish is the one who left the conversation first after the BB happened. She already had a highlight. Did she have a highlight for splitting or for statues? But JD going to statues instead... I'm shocked. I thought that the play here was going to go and get a delegate, but instead, we just didn't do that. We went to statues instead. I don't understand why JD did this. It looked to me like the plan from that BB was to get a civilian shot. We're not taking a bug on the ambassador here, which is good because we would have gotten shot for that. And now we're entering here next to Irish, but did we even pick up the option to delegate?
No, that was a pure reject.
That's what I thought. When we entered next to Irish, I thought maybe we got the delegate after all, but we didn't. And unfortunately, I just don't think that was the right game plan for JD. Now, the good news is that JD shouldn't be a huge suspect. He has the highlight now, but, I mean, everyone is highlighted in this party except for Kane. And that could be a little bit of an issue for Iggy. You're mixing your highlights between real BB and statue visitors. I was on the wrong camera. Pearls going to statues. Pearls could be a potential shot. Irish going for the briefcase, but fingerprints are off, so that's not suspicious from her. JD really banking on the Civ shot, but didn't do the delegate needed for it. Now going to go in with the double agent, but if we contact now, we're going to be the only one who could be getting it. Will a shot come off? Is Iggy able to correctly deduce that this was Queen's play? And yes, Iggy thinks about it for a moment and takes the shot. JD with a really interesting spy play that game, but unfortunately just didn't pilot the strategy of framing as well as he could have. I mean, I think with that first BB, there was a really, really good chance at getting a civilian shot, but you would have needed to delegate in order to make it happen, since none of them went to statues and got themselves shot.
Yeah, Iggy had people highlight for 3 different reasons that game, and still managed to deduce it with that final BB.
Yeah, I mean, if you go for the fake BB, you have to commit to the frame plan, and delegate is how you frame. But
Banana
instead, JD went for statues and just made himself a suspect. Even if JD hadn't gone to statues, maybe a civilian shot could have come off on someone else. But if Iggy had any reason to suspect Queen for how she handled the statue visit, it made sense that he wouldn't want to shoot a civilian if he thought that maybe Queen was the spy. So I don't think the statue visitor was necessary.
This time, Iggy's trading Bug for fingerprints.
Yeah. And just to continue talking about the last game, as Ponoob is pointing out in the chat, it is true that sometimes a spy does a desperation banana bread at the end. That could have been what JD was hoping for, that Iggy would say, oh, you're banana breading again with 20 seconds left? I'm not falling for that. You're just trying to get someone shot. So it wasn't a horrible banana bread. It wasn't as bad as it looks, but I still think there was a better game plan available. Anyway, Iggy is now on match point. If Iggy gets this win as spy, he will take the set. But if JD wins, it will remain a tie, and JD would be able to go for a sweep on Aquarium to get the win. So this is a crucial game for JD. He needs to prove that he's able to play a good sniper game here on Pub. These conversations, though, are so full. A banana bread is really tempting, but there are lowlights available. And so Iggy just goes in for the flirt instead. And this is just going to make it really hard for JD to track who could be flirting, because with a full conversation like this, there's just so many options. Hair is the only highlight, but she's just sort of idling around, going for this briefcase, which I think was just put down by Disney. Doesn't even have a fingerprint on it. So I don't think things are really going to be lining up for her to look like the spy here.
Yeah, we're going to abandon the double agent to get some more flirt progress. And we're going to stop talk, interestingly.
I don't know if there's any major reason to do that. It's not even particularly suspicious to be talking if you're the only person in conversation with your seduction target there. If there's only 2 people, there's a 50% chance that the arrow would go to you anyway. So I don't know if it was necessary. Maybe a little risky from Iggy. But Iggy now has a fingerprint. Was that from the drink?
I believe so.
Yep, and doesn't seem to have any major suspicion for it. Hair, Oprah is the only other highlight. Again, the conversations are really full, so unless JD is an expert flirt tracker, I wouldn't be surprised if JD credits most of the party with flirt.
Our twin is being highlighted, potentially for finishing fingerprints, if JD's got it confused between the two.
Yeah, but then the highlight goes back down to a neutral light, is that right? So it looks like JD is a little bit confused about it. So here's the question. If Iggy goes for the second print himself, will he pick up the highlight? There's only a minute left now. Unfortunately, we are with the SDA, who can't bug the ambassador there. Now we're going to enter here with the double agent. Conversations are really full, everyone except for Taft. So it's a great BB, except that the double agent leaves, and now Iggy is in a horrible position. Hair, also, as the only highlight, was in that conversation, but if JD is suspecting Hair, he knows that Hair doesn't have the real BB as well, because that was a really easy to see sunshine from the DA. Iggy is now in a hugely bad position, going for a purloin instead. That was not the game plan. Not going to be able to get... Oh, there is a fingerprint on there. Okay, that's good. And now Iggy's just going to have to send someone else off to take the list. And a shot instead coming off on Queen. JD just didn't have a good hold of that party and just assumed that someone would be finishing, and Queen as a late statue visitor made sense. I think if he knew that Twin had 2 fingerprints there, maybe he would have suspected the Twin more, not shot the late statue visitor. But unfortunately for JD, despite bringing it back to a tie with those spy games on Courtyard and Veranda, he was not able to close it out. We're not going to go to Aquarium. And Iggy takes his first win in the Tournament of Position, going up to a final Tournament of Position score of 1-3. And JD, unfortunately, becomes the 16th place in the tournament, going 0-4.
You want to know the worst thing about that BB?
What? What was the worst thing
It
about
w-
the BB?
it was green. So in the time that he triggered the action test and hit the green, she split.
Darn. Wow.
It's not even like a white and she left midway through. Ah, that's a feels bad, man.
It is, but I mean, Iggy still won that game, so I don't think Iggy's feeling too bad about it. All right, well, thank you everyone for tuning into this impromptu cast. Sorry for all of the technical issues and the lack of preparedness. I mean, I literally just saw them mention they were playing and started streaming 2 minutes later. But I'm definitely going to be streaming Pofke versus Rio, which is going to be happening in an hour from now. So tune back in 50 minutes. I'll do that on here possibly, but if I get anyone who volunteers to turn it into a real cast, then we could see it over on Spy Party Fans instead. Pofke versus Rio is the opposite of this match. It is the people who have won their first 3 matches and just fighting to figure out who gets first place in the tournament of position. They've both already made gold, so it's somewhat of an exhibition match, but it should be a really, really high level play. So that's in 50 minutes. It'll be either here or on Spy Party Fans. And maybe even on the official channel, but that's only if we get some committed, prepared hosts and casters for it. So, yeah. See you soon.